It's Wednesday morning. You know what that means? It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And how y'all doing? It's still Steven.
We're going to go discuss with Collision first this week. We'll do some AEW because we covered last week's Dynamite when we recorded last week because we recorded a little late. We're doing online recording again this week. The plague has hit my house. At least it's hit my wife. She's had basically a fever off and on since Friday night, so I didn't want to bring anything around the guys, and I've been trying to stay at home as much as possible. So we're doing online, so if things sound a little bit off, that's why. But let's go ahead and get Collision started. First comment in our notes says, if this is their B show, I can only imagine how Rampage must feel. That's got to be a Steven quote, right?
It was 100%. This was a 2-hour show that really only needed a half hour to give you the good part.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it and I thought, for whatever reason, I was thinking it was supposed to be a pretty decent show, but my only note was about one match, and it was the last match of the night. So, I didn't comment on anything else for my note-wise, so that shows what I thought of the show. Typically, though, Collision's a pretty good show. Far better than Rampage, but yeah, this was not a very good example of what a show should be like for them.
This felt like it was a combination of 90s jacked metal, heat. You name those enhancement talent shows that WWE did, and this was it.
I'm going to be real honest with both of you. I have not watched Collision, like not live or recorded, in a month.
Oh, wow,
so
really?
I didn't even watch Saturday. No, I saw the card and I was like, I don't know. Now that CM Punk is gone, what is even the point of having a Collision show? Because the whole point was like, this is where you get to see CM Punk because he can't get along with the other people. And like, yeah, FTR is cool. And yeah, House of Black is cool. But like, we're in NFL playoff time. I kind of would rather watch NFL playoff. Like, Eddie Kingston is cool, but do I want to see him wrestle Trent Beretta? Like, not really.
I mean, I like Trent and I like Eddie, obviously, but that's not a match I need to see necessarily this soon. Give Eddie a week or two off after Continental Classic. Like you said, it was the last week of NFL season. This coming weekend, it is playoffs. I'm not watching Collision unless there just looks to be a heater. And then I'll watch it probably Sunday morning.
Here's my question. I get that they had a 4-way match. Why is Eddie Kingston not facing off Brody King, the only person that he did not avenge a win against in the Continental Classic?
I mean, valid question.
That makes sense.
I got a follow-up question here. What's the deal with Trent Beretta and the vampires and the aliens that are in his entrance video?
Oh, I have no idea. I didn't pay that much attention to it.
You got a bunch of people holding hands. You got puppies running at you.
Oh, that's the best friends. Yeah, that's the old best friends intro. But I didn't notice the vampire. But the puppies and friendship stuff, that's been there.
You get a vampire. You get an alien in a glass tube. You get space, puppies running at you. I just want to know what the deal is. Is he a brood member that I don't know about?
I should maybe examine that a little closer. I've never noticed that stuff. That's funny. So yeah, the Brody point is a good question though. Like maybe they'll swing back to that. It makes me wonder though, because you notice little things like that I would have never fucking noticed, but it makes me wonder if like, is Tony smart enough to circle back to that and be like, hey, this is the only guy that beat you or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like your point.
I mean, he obviously, Brian beat him.
Yeah.
But they had the square off, so that got avenged. But yeah, Brody King beat him.
Yeah.
And like we can't go through a month and a half of programming with the Continental Classic being at the forefront with guys like Moxley and Swerve and Danielson and Jay White and a bunch of heavy hitters for AEW trying to compete for this thing. And then Eddie wins it. And the first guy he faces is like, no offense, a nobody. I mean, that doesn't bode any kind of confidence for this title whatsoever.
And I get why this show was semi-weak, just because of you had every one of your main stars wrestling in another promotion that same weekend.
But they're
'Cause they were-
mostly outside of Danielson. It's mostly they're not on this show. Mox is not on Collision. Like it was kind of like it was Punk and it was FTR and House of Black. That was basically what Collision was when it started.
Ricky Starks.
And Ricky Starks. And now that Punk is gone, it's basically the same guys, you know, with Danielson, but it still doesn't. Nothing ever happens on Collision that makes it feel as important as Dynamite. You might get a great match, and you probably will, like the FTR versus Bullet Club match where they went for 50 minutes, which was fantastic. That was on Collision. But like outside of that, if I asked you to name, like, give me the best Collision moment since it's been a show, could you come up with 5? So like I don't know, like obviously they're not going to do away with this show because you know it's another live element, blah blah blah, whatever, right? Still, but like if this was like just Ring of Honor, or if this was just like an AEW's women's show or whatever, if it was something different other than just like it's kind of like Dynamite, I think it would be more appealing, at least to me. Like if this was 2 hours of Ring of Honor where I got to see different people and like it was branded differently and it was in a smaller venue and it didn't look like Dynamite and the graphics were different and all this sort of stuff and it had a different feel to it, that would be one thing. Because when Collision first started, that's the first thing that we all talked about was like, man, this feels different than Dynamite. And now it's the same, but worse.
And you did get the ROH tag team title defended on this one. I don't remember who they defended against because I didn't care, because it's the ROH tag team. What do I care about the ROH tag team titles on an AEW show?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because now I don't remember who they even had a match against either. Yeah, I don't know. Not the strongest showing. I'm not gonna shit on Collision altogether, but like, it does feel like it's gone downhill in the last month or two. Maybe it's because it knows it's up against NFL football. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is here.
Well, it's a CM Punk show without CM Punk. That's what it was going to be. So.
Yeah, true. There's a note here about Sting's greatest tag team partner.
So we get a promo in the back after Sting and Darby beat the Workhorsemen, because why wouldn't you have them defeat a set of jobbers to continue to pad that 27-0 and what have you. And Sting is back there talking. He's like, and Darby is my greatest tag partner, and I can't take that seriously when I know that he is partnered with The Ultimate Warrior, which was a garbage, when he's partnered with Dusty Rhodes, when he's partnered with Ric Flair, when he's partnered with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, when he's partnered with, Lex Luger. How is Darby anywhere close? When he's partnered with Kevin Nash, he has legitimate Hall of Famers all around him with partnership, and Darby is the best partner he's ever tagged with.
I think you're putting a little too much stock into one sentence out of a promo.
Well, I think you got to define what makes a tag team partner. Is it just because the only one of those guys you mentioned that he had a long run with the titles I remember is Lex Luger. They had the titles for a little bit, and Lex stabbed him in the back. So unless Darby, stabs him in the back, I guess Darby might actually be his greatest tag. They probably tagged more than any of he's tagged with those other guys.
And he did have he had a tag team run with title run in WCW with Kevin Nash when they were in the Wolfpack.
He didn't come out and be like, "Hey guys, this is going to be my most factual promo ever." He was just in the moment cutting a promo.
This might be a hot take.
I get your point, but also like
Darby Allin and Kevin Nash on the same level.
Oh, that is a hot take.
They're the same. They're on the same level.
One of those changed how wrestling is handled behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and one of those is not Kevin Nash.
Scott Hall was way cooler than Kevin Nash.
I will not argue that statement, but
So I'll give it to Darby Allin. If we're going Darby
Who's
Allin
on-
and Kevin Nash, I'd rather watch Darby Allin.
I see. I've learned that what I enjoy about Darby Allin is that I enjoy seeing how he's going to get tossed around and what unique offense is going to be used against him. But I've also determined that it's wasted because it's against guys like the Workhorsemen and things of this nature, where he's taking these huge bumps against people that don't matter, that will never be elevated in this company. So what is the point of taking those bumps?
I would agree with you on that. Yeah, I mean, but that again, that goes down to booking more than anything. And listen, if Kevin Nash wasn't 7 foot tall, if Kevin Nash was the size of Darby Allin, I guarantee you that he would probably be, he probably wouldn't even have a career in wrestling.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say that about anybody who was huge like that. I mean, would Lex Luger have had the career he had if he didn't look like he was, taking steroids 5 times a day?
That's true, but that's a testament more to Darby's ability, and I guess it probably is a testament to the changing of the times. But I don't know. Kevin Nash is fine. Kevin Nash is a B- player, and if that's a hot take, that's a hot take. He is what he is. You can't give me a good Kevin Nash moment.
Now, what are you talking about? When he picked up and chucked Rey Mysterio into us in the side of a trailer as they were coming out, and Rey leaped at him, he just caught him and pitched him like he was throwing a dart into a bullseye. I can still remember that moment to the day. Yeah, it's a shit moment, but the finger prick of doom will live in infamy, but it is a moment that you remember as a wrestling fan because of just how outrageous it was.
When I think of Kevin Nash, I think of a guy that doesn't know the difference between verbs and adjectives.
Well, I'm not arguing that he would win a spelling bee here. He'd make a horrible host for conjunction junction, but still.
Let's keep it moving and try to wrap up the collision part here. But this is funny because I don't remember what this is even from. The notes say, "Did you hear that explosion?" ... Nope. What was this from? I don't remember.
Okay, so this was regarding the Hook promo where he calls out Samoa Joe. And you got, who is it? Nigel, Tony, and I don't remember who the third guy is in the booth over there, but he's like, these promos are piped into the arena, so they all heard that. Did you all hear the explosion around that? And there wasn't a goddamn explosion anywhere near that. Hook fighting Joe, nobody gives a flying rat's ass about Hook and Joe.
Yeah, Hook, you ain't there yet.
Oh, so this is where the
killed me.
Tony Khan tweet came into play then, because like I said, I didn't watch Collision. So did you see the Tony Khan quote or the tweet where like him and Jinder and USA Network were all going back and forth?
No.
He said Tony tweeted something about Jinder and Seth Rollins and how it doesn't make any sense that Jinder is getting a title shot, and then I guess somebody replied about Hook, and I didn't realize this, and then he said Hook makes sense because he's 28-1, blah, 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 all this horse shit. And then Jinder just responded and said, he tweeted, who the fuck is Hook? Watch Monday Night Raw. And I was trying to figure out where that came from. So now it makes sense that Hook fucking called out Samoa Joe?
They cut a backstage, well, it's not even a backstage. They cut a streetwise, him sitting on the corner in his jacket with his Orange Cassidy stolen backpack gimmick, and called out Samoa Joe. And they cut back to the arena with, "Did you hear that explosion?" And it was just a dead ass crowd.
Jesus Christ. Can I just go on a mini rant real quick about billionaires? Can I talk about billionaires for a second? Why are they all so goddamn stupid? This is coming on the heels of Amy Adams Strunk, I think it is, firing beloved coach Mike Vrabel.
Ruining my fucking
Tennessee
day.
Titans.
Ruined my day.
For no reason. Tony Khan is a billionaire also. Can't get off of fucking Twitter. Seems like a decent enough guy in real life, but just is a little bit of a nerd. Like, why are they all just dumb? Why are these class of billionaires all across America and the world, really? Why are they just idiots? I don't understand it.
Just stay off Twitter, man. I mean, like, if you're Tony Khan, you got to stay off Twitter.
Or just have somebody in your ear.
Or at least don't post. You don't have to stay off.
Yeah, don't post. Have somebody in your ear that you just bounce ideas off of. Somebody that you trust that can just tell you, like, nah, man, that's a pretty lame idea. Don't fucking do that. Or don't say that. Or don't tweet that. Something.
Yeah. Don't hit send. Yeah. Don't hit send.
Just write it out and then delete it.
You know he's got Taz in his ear, because, that's the only reason why anybody is voting to have Hook anywhere near TV.
Yeah.
And you should be happy for Mr. Verbal. He's going to probably go to New England and enjoy his time over there in the cold of Boston.
Yeah, it's going to piss me off. So I had to fucking watch A.J. Brown. I'm going to have to watch him the rest of his career. Probably get a gold jacket for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then I'm going to have to watch Mike Vrabel probably go to New England and in 5 to 6 years win a damn Super Bowl. And it all should have been us. It should have been the Titans. Anyway.
Well, welcome to the world where I'm watching CMC about to win probably the MVP of the year and a Super Bowl, while watching us give away not 1, not 2, but 3 first-round draft picks for a guy that's, 5'10".
Hell, our damn coach might be your coach.
Don't. No.
Mike Vrabel might be leading up to Carolina.
I don't want to.
I'll pass.
We could talk all day about how inept the front end of the Titans organization is by trading off Brown and Kevin Byard and having terrible drafts the last 2 years. So, but this is not a football podcast.
But it just goes to the fact that you think these people that have money are smart, and then the older you get, you realize that, like, the people that have money, one, they either luck into it, or two, they screw people over, and they happen to be some of the dumbest people in the world. So, like, either whether it's football or whether, in our case, it's wrestling with Tony Khan and the tweets and the cage match and all this kind of horse shit. You just hope that these people do better and, whatever. I guess maybe Hook will damn choke out Samoa Joe and all this shit will be meaningless. So, and then I can stop watching altogether.
A long run of Hook as the AEW World Champion.
The only other real thing of note, or at least the only thing that I've made a note about, was FTR versus House of Black for the main event. Really the only reason to have watched this show, and you could have watched the last 20-25 minutes of it. Probably should have known looking at the card going into the night that this was going to be the only thing worth watching, but you never know. Maybe sometimes things pop off, and sometimes there's other promos and things, but this was the reason to watch the show, if But Patrick, you didn't watch it, so you don't know much of what happened. So,
this was a solid street fight. Or no DQ, I guess it was, is what they considered it. Can you tell me, because I don't know, evidently, what was FTR's connection to Daniel Garcia?
I don't know that they had one. I think that they were just like, maybe Garcia's got to come out here and help, which didn't really make any sense, but that's what they did.
So you get Garcia taking out Brody before he even gets to the ring, and then FTR comes out triumphant and House of Black comes out on top.
Yeah. Just in terms of like wrestling, like, this is why you watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
This was, if you're going to watch a match that is just a solid workhorse match, where you're talking about your work rate, this was it. This was this, and we'll kind of touch in on this when we get to Raw, because Raw ended with a similar match.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I got sleepy and went to bed about halfway through Raw, so I am curious about what happened that night. So let's go ahead and switch gears then into SmackDown. I shut down work about 6:30 Friday night. Was like, well, you know what? I'll watch SmackDown and see what happens. So I had two notes. The first one is that this is something that's really funny to me. Pretty Deadly is heading out to the match or heading out to the ring, and then they go to a commercial break. You know, not uncommon for that to happen. But they come back from the break, and then there's a backstage segment with Damage Control. So, like, what? Pretty Deadly is just kicking it out in the ring with their music for, let's say, 10 minutes total, probably, because you had about 3.5 minutes worth of commercials. Then there was 3 to 4 minutes, maybe, of the promo backstage, and then a little bit of lead time before they even got out to the ring to see what these guys were doing and who their match was going to be against. That is funny as shit to me. Like, I've noticed it a couple times before, but never really put much thought into it. But I was like, who schedules that shit? Like, why is that a thing?
Well, I mean, reality, they probably danced around for 3.5 minutes, got out of the ring, arena goes dark, they show you the Damage Control video while you once it comes back to live TV so that the audience can see that. Then they'll pop back in. But yeah.
Why not just do Damage Control after the match? That's fucking stupid.
It's a stupid placement of it, yeah. Unless they just had something go wrong in the back that they were trying to stall for time and get somebody ready. Maybe Butch and or Tyler Bates, who they ended up facing, had to poop and they didn't get out before,
There was
they were out of toilet paper.
A funny TikTok a couple weeks ago when Randy Orton came back and had the promo with Roman Reigns, and they did something similar where they went to commercial. And the TikTok video was just a video of Randy Orton sitting at the steps, or just standing by the steps for the entire time while his music's playing. He's just like, kind of just doing, fiddling with his hands and shit. And Roman's just in the ring because they're waiting to come back. Yeah, it's kind of stupid, but yeah.
Somebody needs to put a little thought into that. But
that is one of the reasons why I enjoy seeing Dynamite and Collision through the Fight or ITV app, whatever the heck it is, where they when you cut to that picture-in-picture, they stay with the stuff and you get the weird ass commentary where you realize just how uncaring that anybody is about anything, because they will just say random ass shit. And then, when it's like an actual network commercial, they'll just cut to a screen saying Collision, Dynamite, whatever. And I wish WWE would do something like that, where it is, you didn't get those cutaways and stalls.
Right. Well, I should probably go back on my statement when I say that I watched SmackDown. I had SmackDown on because the next note is about the final testament of the Almighty Prophets, and I could tell you absolutely zero about what happened with them on screen that night because I was not invested at all.
So you get Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits come out. Lashley talks about how last year kind of sucked. He didn't do what he wanted to. There's only one thing that made his year worth anything, and that was the fact that he hooked up with the Street Profits. So we get this is, to me, acknowledging that the Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are no longer our bad guys. They are our faces, and they're going to let them run and do stuff. And hey, that could be good because, we might actually see them wearing some titles or whatever. But that is cut short when Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain come out. And from what I've heard, their new faction name will be the Final Testament. At least that's what WWE trademarked here recently. So it makes the most sense. And they proceed to delay the SmackDowns. And I enjoy seeing big-ass dudes chuck people around. And that is exactly what we're going to be getting out of this.
Yeah, I don't. Is it bad of me to say that Bobby Lashley's never done anything for me as a performer or a wrestler, and his teaming with the Prophets was kind of weird?
I love Mia Lashley. I mean, that dude is jacked all get out, and I'm sad that it's taken him this long to find the success that he's gotten.
For Karrion Kross, though, this is like, if this don't work out, just go somewhere else, dog. You got to just let him go. This is a last-ditch effort. If you can't get over with this, then just let everybody go.
I would.
Has he been
100.
injured, or was he just off to come in with a new thing? Like, what was the deal there?
I think it's off to come in with a new thing.
But like, I don't know. It's just it's another emo group. Like, I don't know. We've seen this before. We've seen these guys before. So like, I don't know. Final Testament, yeah, it could be cool, but like, it also could be pretty damn stupid. You know.
See, I think it's less emo and it's going to be more destruction based, where he is going to just wreak havoc and chaos, as opposed to the Judgment Day version of it.
I mean, when they were standing on the ramp, they looked like they could have been an album cover from like 2004 Hot Topic at the side. I mean, they look like that for real. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But like, I don't know what Karrion Kross necessarily brings you. You have, like, yes, he's big in stature, but WWE is filled with big dudes. His promos are similar to like a Bray Wyatt, and that they can kind of go in circle, but he's, you know, a quarter of the charisma of a guy like Bray Wyatt. I mean, and then Scarlett obviously is you know, she has a look about her, and a lot of people have made that, like, if it wasn't for her, would he even be interesting? Like, I don't know. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I kind of agree with Steven. I like to see big dudes chunk people around. We'll see what happens with these two guys. I don't know, though. I kind of just watching this and was just like, oh, okay. I mean, all right.
I gotta write that down. I like there's a. Do I think Karrion Kross has a tendency to have zero charisma and suck the energy out of a lot of stuff? 100%. Do I think that the authors of Pain disappeared for whatever reason? They disappeared before they should have and could have had a decent run. That's the part I'm more interested in, because I remember the NXT days when they were fighting them, Alpha Academy, DIY, and the fun that tag team division was back in the day.
Like, this would have been way more interesting if Bobby Lashley in his promo is like, the reason we didn't have the year we had last year is because of you two guys. He's looking at Montez and Angelo, and then AOP comes out and lays those guys down, and Bobby Lashley is the head of whatever this new Authors of Pain thing is. To me, that's a way more interesting angle.
So the next note we have is about the long overdue, in parentheses, too late rebuild of Io Sky.
So we know this is all just getting her to look like she can, you know, whoever they're going to throw at her, she isn't just a jobber that they've been pitching her as for the last Damage Control years. I mean, mind you, this was against Michin, who barely gets screen time. But they ended up having a decent match, but you didn't get an interference. You just got a straight match. It's just taken forever.
It's too late. Yeah, it's too late. And like you said, it's against Michin, who also doesn't win matches. So, like, you take two people that don't win matches, just by the definition, somebody has to win this thing. But yeah, it's, you know, nobody is going to believe that Io Sky is going to hold on to that title for much longer. Like, she's not going to be holding that title going into WrestleMania. I wouldn't think.
The other note that I made was about AJ Styles versus Orton versus LA Knight. Was fun until the bloodline interrupted. This was supposed to be to see who gets a shot at Roman at the Rumble. So I said it was fun until the bloodline interrupted, and then it got fun again when Aldis told Heyman that Roman would face all of those guys at the Rumble. I thought that was, I mean, we probably could have seen it coming, but it was at least somewhat entertaining way to end the show for me, because I was real pissed off. I was like, well, of course he's going to come down there and ruin it, and there's going to be no real winner or no outcome. So then the obvious way is to give them all a shot at the Rumble, which I think would be fun. Yeah, because this was a fun match. This was fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's a different match for Roman. You know, he hasn't done a lot of these multi-man matches in his defense. Now, granted, I could be missing something because his damn title reign has been going on for I don't even know how long.
7 years.
Yeah, 28 years. So
He-
maybe there's some
I know
along the way.
Yeah, he did Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson at that point, and or whichever it was, and Edge.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, that's the
Where
only
he's-
other one I can think of. So
But
this one is cool. I like this, and I like everybody in it. And like you said, Corey, I like the fact that like Nick Aldis is an authority figure who's not backing down. It's a good look for him, and a lot of that is because of his physical stature. I mean, he looks like he could handle himself
He's a big dude.
in any kind of fight, yeah. And just, I love the little moment of like, you know, it's not like Nick Aldis grabbed a microphone and did it for the whole arena. Like Roman and those guys are celebrating, and he just walks up, and only in that arena do Aldis and Paul Heyman know, and us as the audience. So again, like what my criticism for WWE for a long time has just been like, things feel so plastic and so fake. That felt like a genuine moment. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. When he's done, I love the fact that he too said, when he's done celebrating, tell him congratulations. Like, that's just, that's kind of a gangster thing to say. So
Yeah.
I like you. I like the end of the show.
I want to argue here that, you know, you said it was fun until they interrupted. I think you would, if you have to think about it as a whole, even that interruption, while it sparked an emotion from you, is fun because of how the outcome is. So take out that it was fun until.
Touche.
They did a web exclusive as well right after that match where we cut to the gorilla position and Roman comes back and he's talking a bunch of shit about how they know no one man can ever defeat me. And you see Paul just on the verge of tears, just shaking as he's having to convey to Roman the fact that my tribal chief, I know this, the people know this, Nick Aldis knows this, and that's why you're going to have to face all four. And just the concern, anger that Roman has before he looks at Paul and just slams the belt into him and says, "Fix this, my wise man."
I mean, bro, you're the one that caused the situation. What's wise man got to fix it for? Fuck you. You did this. Control your shit.
And again, that's another great moment that you only get if you get behind the scenes. Put that shit on television. I'm going to yell at AEW for it. I'm going to yell at WWE for the same damn thing.
They had time. If they knew the match was ending early, you know. They had plenty of time. Let's move to Raw. This is, again, I say I had it on. I had it on and was, I say distracted. I was looking at my phone. I had it on to see if anything interesting would happen. So this part went completely over my head. I'm assuming this is a Steven note. Even Drew knows that Damian is an idiot, or was that you, Patrick?
No, that was me.
I agree with it.
So we get Drew comes out to talk about how he lost the match last week, and one of the lines he says is he's talking about how he's not sure if he's building up the fact that he doesn't have a contract right now, and everybody on the kind of talking about that and how he might leave, whatever, just to kind of get his head. You have to leave sometimes to figure out what it is, and he's like, I could have won, but. Here we get Damian Priest comes out here, and you dumbass, you cash it in while the match is going on. You could have waited until after I beat Seth and I was tired and cashed in, but no, you ruined it for you and you ruined it for me, you dumbass. And I just lost it. I was like, this is. Thank you for pointing out just how much of a moron this guy is.
Well, that you could lead into Punk with that, because Punk comes out to interrupt Drew. It says, if there's any truth to what Punk is saying, imagine a world where he is still in AEW.
So
I was barely listening to Punk. That was the main reason I turned the volume up at that point. I was like, well, Punk's got a microphone. And then I got tuned out. I was like, I don't even care what he's talking about.
Punk has been in WWE for what, a whole month and a half, 2 months at this stage?
Yeah. It's had one match.
And he has already changed the dynamic of what we expect could happen for around us. Because are we now thinking that he's going to win the Royal Rumble, or is Cody going to win the Royal Rumble? He has created so much storyline branching that it's fun, but he's also elevating people because he's gotten Seth Rollins to give us an actual legitimate promo that didn't sound like, just some kind of rehash thing. Everybody he's now had promos with, they sound 100% more believable now around him. So can you imagine a world where Tony Khan managed to corral the bullshit that was backstage and get people that weren't willing to, I don't know, pay attention to some advice that somebody who had been there before was giving, maybe? How they could have elevated so many of these younger generational stars to be something more. I'm not necessarily talking about Hangman. I mean, that could just as easily be, whatever the hell his goddamn name is, Jack Perry. That could have been, he could be doing think about how he could have brought out the best in and make Ricky Starks step up and hit that next level of what he's hitting. We could have, you could literally be training these people that are the future of the industry around, somebody that is incredibly skilled at talking realistic bullshit.
Did you watch it, Patrick?
I did, and yeah, I've said this before, the fact that we never got CM Punk and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks all in a ring with microphones hashing this stuff out for an angle so that we can make some money is going to go down as the biggest disappointment that in AEW's history, and you hope that it isn't a fatal one where in 5 years AEW doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, the sad part is that it kind of sounds like it was on Omega and the Bucks, because it sounds like Punk at least wanted to have a talk and put it out there, and they were like, nah.
Well, anybody with any kind of sense would see the dollar signs that are hanging out there after all the news that came out after Brawl Out. And that's Wrestling 101, is to take shit that happens in real life and put it on screen and turn it into a story. I mean, shit, that's as old as wrestling itself. And so the fact that, it never happened, and not only that, you let the guy go over to the other company in WWE, he's going to be in one of the main events of WrestleMania. I mean, that's a foregone fact at this point. It will happen. Unless they get The Rock or whatever, but like we talked about last week, everybody kind of thinks The Rock's going to be at Elimination Chamber. So you let CM Punk walk. You let him walk over to WWE, he's going to be in the main event at WrestleMania. It would not shock me if he wins the title at WrestleMania. I don't think it would shock any of us if it happens.
Can you imagine? I mean, let's go back here in time. We've got Matt Hardy and Lita are in a legitimate relationship, and Adam Copeland slips in and hooks up with Lita. Do you think that damage that these two friends had based on real life infidelity matters is less traumatizing and damaging to the health of your backstage locker room than somebody talking crap about how you're not as important as you think you are? That was whatever the Brawl Out was. And they still managed to get Matt Hardy and Edge and Lita to all work and turn Edge into the rated R superstar.
Yeah, if that doesn't happen, Edge, I don't think ever becomes a single star. He damn sure doesn't become what he is now, which is he would have been a Hall of Famer, sure, but when you're talking about the John Cena era of WWE, it's like John Cena, Edge, Randy Orton are the three that were there for the longest, and I don't think that happens without the Matt Hardy Lita stuff. And for AEW, they're gonna have, this is their mistake, this is their bed, now they're gonna have to lay in it, because now they're at a point where I'm a huge AEW fan. I haven't watched Collision, like I said. I watched Monday Night Raw. I watched it for CM Punk. There's a lot of people that are probably like me, and you can't tell me that if CM Punk was over in AEW and they were doing the Kenny Omega stuff and the Young Bucks stuff right now, like, yeah, Rock coming back would have popped a lot of people, but who do you think would have the momentum right now if we were having an AEW program between CM Punk and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, or like whatever happened? You think AJ Styles and Randy Orton would be as interesting as that? No, it wouldn't be.
Nope.
But here we are. We're talking about WWE and AEW. You know, they're in the position that they're in right now, where I guess I didn't watch this. I guess fucking Hook and Samoa Joe are going to fight each other. Like, okay, cool.
I just realized, not to get too far off on the AEW side train, but they're doing Battle of the Belts Saturday night. Fucking week 1 of the NFL playoffs. Why are you? Why? Just wait.
And what do they do this about 4 times a year?
Yeah, put this shit on Friday night.
And nothing ever happens, by the way. Yeah. Nothing ever of consequence happens on that show.
Anyway, sorry. I just was looking for the card for Saturday night, and then I quit looking when I saw that. I was like, I forgot about Battle of the Belts.
Yeah, I think they've only announced one match for that one. They've announced the entire card, I guess, for what's coming on Wednesday, but I'm going to deal with that the next recording, because I don't want to get into that right now. But this is, to get back to the point, this is what happens when you don't have somebody in the room that has a understanding of how to make money in wrestling and not just throw together his dream matches.
Yeah. Well, we've run down that road before. I have a question about who. It says, when will Nick Mysterio debut?
So this came out of the R-Truth segment, where you get that amazing little vignette of him telling the story of how he was born on a cold day in Charlotte, and how, you know, he remembers it to this day, how he looked up at the doctor and discussed how one day he was going to join the Judgment Day, and how he loves, you know, Damian, Finn, and Dom and Nick Mysterio. I haven't met Nick Mysterio yet, but we still brothers. And again, I'm dying because I go back to the fact that he is a comic genius, and the dude is able to say some of the stupidest shit and just make me laugh my ass off.
That's pretty funny. I wondered, I saw the start of a segment online, and it was talking about where he was born, and I was like, I'm not going to watch this.
Watch it. Totally worth it. Dramatic recreations, the story of how he...
Because it looked like it was dramatic, and I was like, this is some, like, you know, real life shit about him. I was like, I don't care about this. So you're saying it's the actual bit. Gotcha.
Yes, 100%. And it's like 2 minutes, and it is hilarious as hell.
I feel a couple different ways about this. Because on the one hand, this segment was absolutely brilliant and genius. And like Steven said, R-Truth is probably the greatest comedic wrestler of all time. But on the other hand, you have paired this with Judgment Day.
You're ruining the Judgment Day.
It's supposed to be a badass group that is supposed, you know, they call themselves the next bloodline, like blah, blah, blah. So it kind of makes them look stupid. But on the other hand, if they didn't have the R-Truth stuff happening with them right now, what the hell would they be doing? Standing in the clubhouse? So, like, it kind of is like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to our last 3 episodes to hear our take on the clubhouse.
But it's also, this is a good reset point, and we kind of get that hinted at in this as well, because after you get Miz versus JD McDonough, and that you're seeing the Judgment Day collapse, you get them talking about how this is garbage, we need to do something about this. So I think we're to the point where they're going to do a internal reset of themselves, and so we'll see where this kind of goes. I mean, Rhea's starting to get popped because you got her up against Nia Jax, because nobody wants to cheer Nia Jax because she's Nia Jax. Dominic is people have now understood that Dominic is better than everybody thought Dominic was. So he's coming across. They're going to start cheering him eventually.
Here's the problem with the reset, though, is that I kind of don't want them to reset. I kind of just want them to keep doing this with R-Truth. Because what is the reset going to be? That Damian loses the briefcase? Like, I don't know. Like, it's weird. It's weird because you could have done this thing with R-Truth. Or maybe you couldn't have. I don't know. R-Truth could be doing funny stuff on the show with any other group, but they paired him with the Judgment Day. But now it's so good that I feel like you can't take him away from the Judgment Day. But he kind of should never be with the Judgment Day to begin with. So it's like all these little conundrums.
I think what makes R-Truth work so well is because they are the straight men that he needs to make the absurdity of this whole situation stand out. Am I happy that the Judgment Day became a joke? No, I wanted them to have a decent run as villains, but without them being that foil to the comedy, I don't think yes, R-Truth would still be over because everybody loves R-Truth. It's hard to hate that dude.
So what was the last match? It says WWE can also last 30 minutes.
So we got the blow-off match finally of Nakamura and Cody Rhodes. They give us a street fight. And this is... So we have two different programs that end with this style match, and they both go long. The difference being one of them is a PG show, and the other one is not. So while and I think this is something that Patrick talks about a lot, where how he doesn't enjoy how they don't take it to the levels that they should, kind of thing. They don't put the hits, the emotional kind of thing. You're not going to get blood out of this because it's a PG show. This is the essential of a PG action movie versus the brutality that you will get on any AEW match.
LA Knight got color on Friday night.
Do we think that's because he actually did it, or do you think
So I told Jamie, I said, he's busted open. I said, they don't usually do this on WWE. So I said, either he really got busted open or they're changing some rules.
And they may be. I mean, who knows? The things may be changing internally, but this goes back to, I don't know if y'all saw or remember the like a month or so ago, you had the breakdown about the education level of all the different wrestling groups and how AEW's had a higher education level versus WWE's. And I think this is the heart of that argument, in the sense that WWE is a family show. So you will have all those demographics scared by the fact that you have a bunch of kids that are still young and not off to college earning MBAs, and how the income level is lower. But again, you've got a bunch of kids in that, so you will never get a Paige Strickland deathmatch style match in WWE. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if AEW could get their crap together enough to capitalize on the fact that they're using WWE as an introductory point to wrestling, that they could then draw those fans into the more sports side of it. But I don't think they're going to do it the opposite way around.
I mean, yeah.
Did you say it, Patrick?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I don't think that, like you said, WWE is more family friendly. And yeah, they're not going to do Hangman and Swerve, but at some point it's kind of just like, well, then why even try to why do a street fight if it's going to be any kind of watered out? Like, just have them wrestle. Like, I get that, like, in this situation it's a little bit different because this is a blow-off match, and blow-off matches usually either happen in a cage or happen, like, you could have easily just put this in a steel cage. Like, and I think that's kind of the things where, like, that's where WWE can kind of do more quote-unquote hardcore stuff. You have, like, the Hell in a Cell, which isn't a lot of hell inside of it, but it is inside of a cell, but they just kind of wrestle. But it is visually kind of cooling. A cage match is the same sort of thing. Like, I would rather see that than see them try to do any kind of, like, hardcore stuff, unless they are going to, like, change. I think Nick Khan had kind of talked about, like, couple months ago in one of these interviews that, like, especially with the last hour of Monday Night Raw, because the reason they don't do more hardcore stuff is because of advertisers at the end of the day, right? But that last hour, you have a little bit more flexibility. And I'm not saying that, anybody's got to drink anybody's blood, but, like, we could see some thumbtacks. We could see some, a little bit of color here and there. Like, you mentioned the LA Knight thing, like, whether it was intentional or not, kind of added to the moment, didn't it? Kind of looked a little bit cooler when Roman was pulling LA Knight up and he's bloody. Like, that is, at the end of the day, whether you are for blood or you're against blood in wrestling, the reason it works is because it acts on a very primal instincts that humans have when it comes to seeing blood. Like, that is the draw, for better or for worse, of something like the UFC. Like, there is just a natural inclination to want to see violence. And I'm not saying people have to come out with crimson mass, but, like, you could do a little bit. And we know Cody can bleed. He's a bleeder. We've seen it. And that man's willing to do anything, right? He's willing to go through a damn flaming table. So, yeah, but, I'm glad at least with Cody, it always comes down to, like, it's the meme at this point. Like, is he going to finish the story? Like, Royal Rumble is around the corner. If they're going to do something with Roman, you have to think it's going to come sooner rather than later. So, I mean, that is where anything Cody does up until that point is going to kind of be like, to me at least, it's, I just kind of want to see what's next. We're in that kind of season with WWE where it's always like, I just want to see what's next.
Yeah, I think that was the main reason why I actually turned on SmackDown and Raw this week, was because I was like, we're getting pretty close to WrestleMania season. They got to start pointing at them signs soon. I should probably be paying a little more attention. And the Rumble will be fun. I saw an article going around today. It was like, here are the supposed entrants and surprises for the Rumble. I was like, the whole fucking point of it is to be surprised. Like, why would you put out an article?
Did you read it?
No.
Good.
But somebody did. And they probably didn't want to. They were just like, fuck, now I gotta read it.
This is why I stopped watching movie previews.
I don't know. Y'all got any last thoughts before we wrap up for the week?
So we all realize it's going to be LA Knight eating that pen, right?
Yeah.
Or AJ.
I don't think it's AJ. You just brought him back and you're trying to establish him as something. I think it's going to be Knight.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I think the match for LA Knight at WrestleMania is against Logan Paul. That's his. They're probably just doing this little detour with LA Knight to give him something to do until they get those plans in place. I would imagine everybody's plan at WrestleMania is pretty much already locked into place. Who's going to wrestle who, and you can kind of see, LA Knight, Logan Paul, Punk, Rollins, Roman, Cody,
Jay and
Jimmy. That's a match. The only ones who were kind of out there, what are KO and Sammy going to do? Do they wrestle each other? Do they team back up for something? Those kind of got. Drew McIntyre would be another one.
What kind of injury does Sammy have? How long is he out?
Oh, he's already back. He's just he had requested vacation.
Oh, I thought he was injured for some reason.
Oh, they wrote him off as a storyline injury, and
Gotcha.
He might have some bangs up that he's dealing with, but it was mostly he was going on vacation. From what I understand, he's already back doing house shows and stuff.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's it, unless you guys got any final thoughts. I haven't looked to see what the card is like for Dynamite for tomorrow.
I'll give you a hint. It's a Brody tribute.
Okay.
Oh, I will say this about WWE. They can act like they don't watch AEW. They're full of shit. Because AEW, they do like Fyter Fest, like AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest. They have these little special things. What the fuck was SmackDown called? Was it New Year's Revolution?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here,
like that,
you don't
right?
watch. Yeah, shut the fuck. Yes, you do. You do watch, and you take what you want to take, and you just call it stupid, whatever you don't. But don't act like they're not competition. You ain't paying attention.
Yeah.
You had the fucking
Winter is coming.
Yeah.
Bachelor of the Beach.
They've been doing that shit, and now you thought it was cool, and you want to do it again. I ain't mad at it. Do it, but don't act like you ain't. Don't act like we can't see what you're doing. That's all.
Well, I mean, heck,
Yeah.
they started the Continental Classic. Suddenly, we got a U.S. tournament.
Shocker. They have the same idea to do something. Wow. Anyway.
Well, I guess that's going to wrap it up for us. If you are new to the show, be sure to check out our network of fellow podcasters at thealabamatake.com. You can follow the Alabama Take on all social media outlets, networks, whatever you want to call them. We are on Instagram and Threads at Alabama Slam Pod, as well as Twitter for now. Still can't convince myself to shut it down just yet. Not enough wrestlers are on, or wrestling media are on Threads that I can find. Otherwise, I would probably shut that account down already. But yeah, follow us if you don't already, and we'll check back in with y'all next Wednesday.